The alarm went off like a gunshot. My phone vibrated in my hand, the screen lighting up with the live security feed from inside the cabin. I saw the bed in the camera frame jerk violently, not because of the alarm, but because the shock pad I had rigged under the bed frame had just gone off. There was a thud, followed by a sharp yelp. Ryan, the guy who had been warming my wife's bed, rolled off the mattress clutching his wrist, while Clara, my Clara, froze like a deer in headlights. For a moment, I just sat in the driver's seat of my truck, watching it all unfold on the tiny screen. Clara scrambled to pull the sheets up, her face pale and mouth hanging open as she realized what the alarm meant. It wasn't just noise, it was me. It was proof. I couldn't help the grim smile that crept across my face. Weeks of suspicion, late-night drives, and setting up cameras and triggers in the cabin. All of it led to this exact moment. I slipped my phone into my jacket pocket and killed the truck's engine. The evening air smelled like damp pine as I stepped out, boots crunching on the gravel driveway. My pulse was steady, unnervingly steady. I wasn't going to storm in yelling like some cliché husband. I was done with shouting. I was done with begging for honesty from a woman who had been lying through her teeth for months. The cabin sat just a few yards away, the same one Clara and I had spent summers fixing up together. We painted those walls ourselves, picked out that damn bed frame ourselves. I used to think of this place as our hideaway, a space where the world couldn't touch us. Now, as I walked toward it, it felt like the scene of a crime. Through the front window, I could see Clara's shadow moving fast, frantic. She grabbed her clothes from the floor, her hands shaking so bad she dropped her blouse twice. Ryan muttered something I couldn't make out, probably cursing me and my setup. His wrist was still pressed against his chest. I heard the crack when it hit the headboard. A part of me hoped it hurt like hell. I stopped at the cabin door and took one slow breath. No anger, no yelling. Just the truth, bare and ugly, waiting to be exposed. My hand hovered over the door handle for a second before I pushed it open and stepped inside, my voice calm as I called her name. The cabin door creaked open under my hand. I didn't bother knocking. It was still my cabin, even if Clara had turned it into a playground for her lies. The alarm had stopped, leaving only a low hum from the shock pad's power box, but I could hear hurried footsteps upstairs. "Clara!" I called out, my voice calm, almost gentle. "Come on down." No response, just the rustling of fabric and whispered voices. I stepped inside, shutting the door behind me with a quiet click. My boots thudded against the wood floor as I walked toward the staircase, the sound of each step filling the silence like a warning. At the top of the stairs, she appeared. Clara, wrapped in a crumpled bedsheet like it was armor, her hair tangled, face flushed. Behind her stood Ryan, the guy who had taken my place, shirtless and wincing, his right wrist tucked against his side. He looked like a man who had just realized the ground under him wasn't solid. "Ethan, I can explain," Clara stammered, her voice cracking. Her eyes darted from me to the floor, like she couldn't decide whether to meet my stare or run back into the bedroom. I took a slow step closer. "Explain what?" My tone was ice, deliberate. "Because I've been watching the live feed for the last 10 minutes. Every laugh, every whisper, every single lie." Her mouth opened, then closed. I could see her brain working, trying to craft some excuse that might soften the blow, but I wasn't about to give her the chance. I pulled my phone from my pocket, thumbed through the security app, and pressed play. The cabin filled with the sound of her voice. Laughter, soft moans, Ryan's name spoken like it meant something. Clara froze, her face draining of color, as if the walls themselves were accusing her. Ryan shifted uncomfortably, glancing at her. "You didn't tell me you were married," he muttered. His voice wasn't angry, just stunned. "You didn't say a damn word." Clara turned to him quickly, her voice desperate. "Ryan, I was going to tell you, I swear, but what?" I cut in sharply. "You were going to keep lying until I was gone? Until you had your little weekend getaway?" Ryan stepped back, pulling his shirt off the railing and shoving his arm through the sleeve. "I'm not part of this drama," he said under his breath. "I don't deal with this married crap." Clara whipped back toward me, tears welling in her eyes. "Ethan, please, I made a mistake." I took another step up the stairs, my phone still playing the damning recording. "No, Clara. A mistake is forgetting to lock the door. This?" I tilted my head toward the phone. "This is deliberate. You chose this." Ryan stared at her like he didn't recognize her anymore. Clara's lip trembled, but she didn't say a word. Ryan's face twisted as the last seconds of the recording played from my phone. He grabbed his jeans from the banister, muttering curses under his breath. Clara reached out, clutching his arm as though she could stop him from leaving. "Ryan, wait. Please! It's not what it looks like!" Her voice cracked, desperation spilling out like water from a broken faucet. Ryan yanked his arm free, pulling his shirt over his head with one hand. His other wrist, the one that had slammed into the headboard, hung stiffly at his side. "Not what it looks like?" he scoffed, glaring at her. "You told me you were single. You didn't mention a husband, a cabin, or a damn camera watching everything." Clara's lips trembled. "I was going to tell you. I just... Save it." Ryan shook his head, grabbing his boots. "I don't mess with married drama. You're not worth this?" I leaned against the railing at the bottom of the stairs, arms crossed, watching the scene unfold like I was sitting in the front row of a show I'd written myself. "Good call," I said coolly. "I'd hate for you to stick around. She's not much of a prize when the truth comes out." Clara shot me a look, half fury, half panic. But she didn't say a word. She was too busy scrambling to keep Ryan from walking out. "Ryan, don't do this," she pleaded, stepping toward him with the sheet slipping dangerously low on her chest. "We can figure this out." "Figure what out?" he snapped. "That you lied to both of us?" "No, thanks." He brushed past her, his shoulder knocking into the wall as he stormed down the stairs. He stopped just long enough to glare at me. "She's all yours, man. Good luck with that." Then he shoved the door open and slammed it behind him so hard the windows rattled. Silence dropped over the cabin like a heavy blanket. Clara stood frozen on the stairs, clutching the sheet like it was all she had left. I looked up at her, my jaw tight, the calm in my voice cutting like a blade. "Your little act is over. Now it's just you and me." Clara stayed frozen on the stairs, her knuckles white as she clutched the sheet around her chest. I didn't say a word at first. I just stood there, my eyes on her, letting the silence do the work. It was amazing how heavy silence could feel when the lies had all been stripped away. Finally, she broke. "Ethan, I'm sorry," she said, her voice trembling. "I didn't plan for any of this. I've been so lonely lately. You've been working so much. I felt like I didn't matter to you anymore." I tilted my head slightly, almost amused at how quickly she reached for the easy excuse. "Lonely," I repeated. "That's your story now? My work made you cheat on me." Her eyes darted away, then back to me. "You're gone all the time. You barely look at me anymore. I thought maybe I wasn't enough for you, and I..." "Stop!" I cut her off, my tone sharper now. "You weren't lonely, Clara. You were careful. You lied. You waited until I wasn't around. You brought him here, and you laughed about me like I'm some fool." I pointed to my phone, still warm in my hand. I heard every word. She flinched, tears welling up. "Ethan, please, I love you." "No." I shook my head, stepping closer. "Whatever this is, it's not love. Love doesn't sneak around and whisper someone else's name in our bed. Love doesn't smile to my face and then crawl into someone else's arms when I'm not here." She wiped at her cheeks with the back of her hand, her voice trembling but shifting in tone. "You can't just throw everything away over one mistake. We can fix this. I can fix this. Just let me show you." With that, she loosened her grip on the sheet, letting it slide an inch lower on her shoulders. I felt my stomach turn. "Put that back on," I said flatly. "You're not going to seduce your way out of this. Not this time." Her lip quivered. "You don't mean that. I know you, Ethan. You still want me." I took a deliberate step back. "I don't even know who you are anymore. Whatever game you're trying to play, I'm done." Her face twisted, the fake remorse melting away as anger bubbled up. "This is your fault," she snapped, her voice rising. "Do you think I wanted to go looking for someone else? You made me feel invisible. You're so obsessed with work that you didn't even notice me anymore." I let out a sharp laugh. "Oh, there it is. The real Clara. Nothing is ever your fault, is it? You're always the victim. But you're not the victim here. You're the one who did this. Now go upstairs and pack your things." She stared at me like I'd slapped her. "You're kicking me out?" "That's exactly what I'm doing," I said coldly. 5 minutes. "Start packing." The sound of Clara stomping around upstairs was like nails on a chalkboard. Drawers slammed, hangers rattled. Every few seconds, a sharp curse slipped from her mouth, low but loud enough for me to hear. I sat on the couch below, elbows on my knees, staring at the floor. My anger had cooled into something heavier. A numb, hollow kind of clarity. The woman I thought I knew was gone. Maybe she was never really there. Clara's footsteps thundered down the stairs. She was back in her jeans and sweater, her hair pulled into a messy bun that made her look nothing like the woman I used to come home to. She dragged a suitcase behind her, its wheels thumping over the wooden steps. The sheet she'd once been clinging to was now crumpled on the stairs, discarded like everything else she'd touched. She didn't look at me right away. Instead, she zipped the bag violently and yanked on the handle. "You know what your problem is, Ethan?" Her voice was sharp, her anger finally replacing the fake tears. "You're boring, predictable. All you do is work, work, work. Do you even know how to live?" Ryan made me feel alive for the first time in years. I leaned back slightly, watching her unravel. "That's funny," I said flatly. "Because you didn't look too alive when he walked out on you." Her jaw tightened. "Don't flatter yourself. You think you're some big hero for catching me? You're not. You're just a guy who was too blind to see I was unhappy." I stood then, slow and deliberate, towering over her as I walked toward the door. "Say it," I said, my voice low but firm. She frowned. "Say what?" "Say this is my fault. Say I made you cheat." She opened her mouth, but the words didn't come. The silence stretched, her glare faltering under mine. "That's what I thought," I said. "Now get out." Clara yanked her suitcase handle and stormed past me. But before stepping onto the porch, she turned, her face twisted in spite. "You'll die alone, Ethan. Alone and bored out of your mind." I didn't respond. I just held the door open, watching as she disappeared into the night. When the engine of her car roared to life and faded into the distance, the cabin finally went silent. The cabin felt hollow after Clara's car disappeared down the road. I sat on the couch, leaning forward with my elbows on my knees, staring at the floorboards. My mind wasn't racing anymore. It was sharp, focused. For the first time in months, maybe years, I saw the truth for what it was. Clara hadn't just betrayed me. She had mocked me, used me, and laughed about it behind my back. I unlocked my phone and scrolled to the hidden folder I'd created weeks ago. I had saved everything. Screenshots of her texts where she joked about how easy I was to fool. Messages where she told friends I was too safe and predictable to suspect anything. Each word hit like a punch to the chest, but I kept scrolling, my jaw set. If she wanted to live by lies, I'd bury her with the truth. I opened my email and began compiling the files. Her high-profile employer was at the top of the list. Clara had always boasted about her reputation at the company, about how perfect her image was. That was her weak spot. I typed a short cutting note, attaching the videos from the cabin and screenshots of her own bragging words. No commentary, no rants, just the truth. Before I hit send, I added a few more addresses. Her closest friends, the ones who'd smiled to my face while knowing exactly what she was doing. I included them all in a group message. If they were going to talk about me behind my back, I'd give them something real to talk about. With one press of my thumb, I sent it. The files flew out into the world, unfiltered and unchangeable. I sat back on the couch, exhaling a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like taking out the trash. The cabin was silent except for the faint creak of the wood settling in the night air. I grabbed a beer from the mini fridge, twisted the cap off, and let the first cold sip wash over me. It didn't taste like bitterness. It tasted like freedom. I set the bottle on the table, leaning back, feeling the first wave of calm I'd had in a long time. Clara's carefully built world was crumbling. And for once, I wasn't the one picking up the pieces. The next morning, my phone started buzzing before the sun was even up. Clara's name lit up the screen over and over, followed by voicemail notifications. I ignored them at first, letting each call roll to silence. But by the 10th attempt, curiosity got the better of me. I put her on speaker while I sipped my coffee. "Ethan, you've lost your damn mind," her voice shrieked through the phone. "Do you have any idea what you've done? You sent that video to my boss. I just got fired, Ethan. Fired." She sucked in a ragged breath. "You ruined my life." I waited for her to pause before answering, my voice steady. "No, Clara. You did that all on your own. I just told the truth." "The truth?" She let out a sharp, bitter laugh. "You think you're some righteous hero? You're nothing but a bitter little man who couldn't keep his wife happy. I swear to God, you'll regret this." "Threats won't work anymore," I said calmly. "You don't get to scare me, Clara. Not now. Not ever." She let out another guttural yell, stringing together curses and insults, her words shaking with rage. I set my mug down and cut in. "I think we're done here." "Don't you dare hang up on me," she snapped, but I ended the call. A few minutes later, my phone lit up again, and then again, each call more frantic than the last. Voicemails piled up, Clara screaming, crying, demanding I fix what I'd broken. I blocked her number, then turned on the radio to drown out her voice as I sat on the porch. The peace that followed was almost surreal. The lake shimmered under the early light, the breeze carrying nothing but the smell of pine. For the first time in weeks, I felt the tension in my shoulders ease. Clara's power, her manipulations, her guilt trips, her control, was gone. I finished my coffee slowly, leaning back in the chair. Whatever storm she was throwing on the other side of my phone didn't matter anymore. In this moment, here in the silence, I'd won. I knew it was only a matter of time before Clara showed up. The constant calls and messages had stopped mid-afternoon, and I recognized the silence for what it was, a calm before the storm. When the pounding on the front door came just after sunset, I didn't even flinch. "Ethan, open this door right now!" Clara's voice was raw, strained from yelling. I stood, taking my time walking to the door. When I opened it, she was there, disheveled and wild-eyed. Her hair was tangled, her mascara streaked, and her phone was gripped tightly in her hand, screen glowing with angry messages. "You think you won?" she snapped, shoving the phone toward my face. "Do you know how many people have texted me today? My friends are disgusted with me. My boss—" She stopped, breath hitching. "You've humiliated me." I crossed my arms, leaning against the doorframe. "No, Clara, you humiliated yourself. I just let the world see who you really are." Her lip trembled, but instead of anger, I saw a sudden shift. She straightened slightly, her tone softening. "Ethan, we don't have to do this. I know I made mistakes, but I loved you. I still do." The sudden sweetness in her voice made me laugh, though there was nothing funny about it. "You didn't love me, Clara. You loved the control. You loved knowing I'd forgive you, that I'd look the other way. But that version of me, he's gone." She blinked, clearly thrown off by how calm I was. "I can fix this," she said quietly. "We can fix this. Don't throw everything away because of one stupid mistake. I need you, Ethan. You need me too." I shook my head. "No, I don't. What I need is peace, and I'm not getting that with you here." Her face hardened, all pretense of vulnerability vanishing. "You'll regret this," she hissed. "You think you're better than me? You think you can live without me? You're pathetic." "Good," I said, stepping back inside. "Stay angry. Just stay off my property while you're at it." She glared at me for another second before spinning on her heel. The sound of her boots crunching on the gravel filled the silence as she stormed toward her car. Just before she opened the door, she turned and spat her final words. "You're going to die alone, Ethan, and you'll deserve every second of it." I didn't reply. I just closed the door slowly, locking it behind me. Through the window, I watched her taillights vanish down the dark road. For the first time, it felt final, like I'd slammed the door not just on her, but on everything she represented. When Clara's car disappeared down the gravel road, the cabin was quieter than I had ever heard it. Not the comforting kind of quiet I used to love here, with the hum of the lake breeze and the creak of old wood. This was heavier. It felt like the silence left behind after a storm rips through, when you know nothing will ever look the same again. I sat on the couch and stared at the floor, my beer bottle cold against my palm. The past few hours felt like a lifetime, compressed into a single night. Every memory I'd built with Clara inside these walls, every laugh, every promise, felt fake now, like an elaborate stage play. How long had she been lying to me? How many of our moments together had been just a cover for what she really wanted? My phone buzzed on the table, breaking my thoughts. Messages flooded in, one after another, from friends and family who'd already seen what I'd sent out earlier. Some were short. "Man, I'm so sorry," or "You deserve better," while others were long, detailed messages of shock and sympathy. I skimmed through them, but nothing really landed. I didn't feel like a victim anymore, just someone who'd finally stopped playing a losing game. Then I saw my mom's text. "Are you okay? Call me, please." I typed back 2 words, "I will be." I cracked open another beer and leaned back into the couch. The cabin looked different now. I realized I hadn't really seen it in years, not as mine. Clara's taste had crept into every corner. The patterned curtains, the fancy throw pillows, Even the stupid rug she said would tie the room together. For the first time, I saw all of it as clutter, just things she'd used to make this place hers. But now, it was mine again. The cabin, the silence, the freedom, all of it. I took a long sip of beer and let the calm settle in. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even sad. It felt like taking a breath after being underwater for too long. The night air was cool, drifting in through a crack in the window. I stared at the reflection of the cabin's lights in the dark lake outside and let the quiet surround me. For the first time in a long while, I felt like I could start over. Tomorrow, I'd start removing the last traces of Clara. The curtains could go, the rug too, and maybe I'd repaint the walls. But tonight, I just sat there, letting the silence be enough.